r/askreddit. What is something you know because of your profession, which you believe everyone should know to make their lives better, easier, or healthier? Be interested, not interesting. I used to work in film and picked up a lot of acting tips used by industry professionals. One of the biggest lessons you learn in acting is when you're in a scene, don't try to show up the other person or look cool or say your lines in the most epic way possible. Instead, you truly listen to the other actor's lines. You notice details about them. You just immerse yourself in the moment and genuinely take it all in and understand it. And just by doing that and feeling the emotions of the scene and responding naturally, accordingly, boom, you've won an Oscar for the most realistic performance, because it is real. But that's also a really good way to live life, really, truly listen to people when they speak. Try to understand them. Notice beautiful little details. Remember what they love and what they hate and what makes them happy. Be invested in the moment. Don't just live your life trying to act cool. The difference between talking to someone and waiting for your turn to talk at them. I'm a civil engineer and I think everyone should know that yellow light time is dictated by the speed limit. For example, if the speed limit is 40 miles per hour, you have 4 seconds of yellow light time. You have 1 second of yellow light time for every 10 miles per hour. If the speed limit is 35 miles per hour, you have 3.5 seconds. Edit. I'm getting this question a lot so I will answer. The 10-second rule is a general rule of thumb. Signals with red light cameras have less yellow light time. Some areas may have shorter traffic lights than this because they aren't functioning properly. In this case it should be reported to your community's public works. Shit, this is a cool one, thanks. Is it also true that after peak hours there are sensors in the ground triggered by a driver's proximity to make the lights change from red to green? I work in IT and I can honestly say that by rebooting your device you will fix most of the software related faults that happen. If that doesn't work then googling the symptoms will more than likely give you a fix or avenue for a fix pretty quickly. I was going to comment about googling but I'm just gonna read to your comment. I know people joke that my degree is a bachelor's in googling but I am constantly amazed at how some people just don't have the ability to search for what they need. I've had to explain to my parents, if you're getting an error, type that in. Add the name of whatever you are using, even if it's just the brand name. Think of as many one-word descriptions as you can, and they still don't get it. Yet, when I find solutions after simply googling, error message blah for HP whatever or Chinese restaurant downtown wherever in Carter Street, I look like a genius. I joke to myself that people's inability to search for things on the internet allows folks to keep their jobs. But knowing how to figure out how to do something by searching online is amazing. 99% of product manuals are online. It's great. Hell, I discovered my 68-year-old grandmother knew how to Google better than most other adults I knew and I'm very proud of her. Americans, if you need help navigating a complicated government problem, call your representative at the local, states or federal level. There are staff members standing by whose whole purpose is to do constituent services. At KF people think their elected officials just sit up in the Capitol but don't realize they have capital and district staff whose whole purpose is to help people navigate through government problems. When I turned 18, I received a letter from the Social Security Administration that told me I owed $52,000 to Social Security because I had determined that my father was not disabled for the last 2 years of his life and they had overpaid him. He spent the last 2 years of his life in the hospital and about 6 months in a coma and he was apparently not disabled. I spent months trying to solve the problem on my own and was simply jerked around and treated like a criminal by Social Security. Finally, I got the idea to call my congressman and ask for help. Within a few weeks, I ended up getting an apology letter from the Social Security Administration saying they were wrong and I shouldn't have to pay for their mistake. That letter is in my baby book now. So much of this, don't be scared to call them or think it is also corrupt. Hellscape staffers do their jobs because they genuinely want to help people in their community. This drive to help is stronger the lower you go on the government ladder. I work at an interstate mountain tunnel in VA. Please, for the love of God, don't stop to take pictures. Yes, it is cool, but stopping like that has caused more accidents than anyone would believe. You work at a tunnel? If you don't mind, what exactly do you do? And how much does it pay? Be a strong advocate for your health. Don't be afraid to talk with your doctor when you notice something that feels wrong to you. And don't be afraid to keep bugging people if you feel you aren't being heard. The medical field is full of people and people make mistakes. Also for women, especially those over 40, never skip a year for breast cancer screening, and if you have new symptoms, have it done again. Early detection really is a lifesaver. Yup. My wife's cancer was only diagnosed by the 6th doctor she consulted about her pain. She's now fine, and it's been 6 years. This would not be the case had she stopped at 1 or 2 doctors. I work in anatomical transplantation. Lungs of marijuana smokers and lungs of cigarette smokers look exactly the same. People who deny the fact that smoking weed isn't as detrimental to your lungs as smoking cigarettes are kidding themselves. If you ingest smoke, your lungs are going to suffer long-term damage. Plain and simple. Edit. Just to clarify, some distinctions must be made. If you smoke 2 packs a day, your lungs will have considerable more damage than someone who smokes a joint once every other week. I am referring to habitual smokers with long-term use. I can believe that. I am also sorry for the shitstorm of downvotes that are about to come your way. Saying anything remotely ill about pot on Reddit is a big no-no. Get a third party to do inspections on homes or rentals before you move instead of who the retail agent or landlord will provide. That third party inspector will be more honest about things that are faulty in the home rather than one that's contracted with the agency. Also, pay attention to services your town will provide and what community projects they are personally engaged in funding. This will affect your property taxes if you buy a home. A $70 ozone machine will permanently get rid of most smells in your home with just an hour of use. Pet, smoke, mold and other smells will be completely removed. However, ozone is toxic to living things, so it cannot be used with people or pets present. Ozone does however have a relatively short half-life, and return of normal use to the room can begin as soon as an hour after the machine has turned off. Hotels often use ozone machines to remove smoke smells when someone smokes in a room. They often have large industrial size machines that only need to run for 15 minutes or so. The room will be fresh smelling and ready for the next guest with less than an hour turnaround time. Edit. If you get an ozone machine, please read the directions and warnings. There are several differing opinions on when the room can be used again, and I am not an expert. I just happen to know they work and most people don't know about them. So, it fit the topic. How am I supposed to get to the ozone machine to turn it off if it's emitting poison? I work in theatrical lighting. It's pricier, but gaff tape is far superior to duct tape. Tears better, sticks better, looks better, doesn't leave that nasty residue when you peel it off something. You can write on it in Sharpie, so it's great for labeling. We use it to label lights, secure cables, basically anything you might need tape for. If you're running cable across the ground, use gaff tape to keep it in place. It's not waterproof, but other than that it's the perfect tape. I love it. Edit. Since people are asking, my brand of choice is Pro Gaff, but to be honest I haven't really shopped around. Every theater I've worked for so far has used Pro Gaff, and I've never had a problem with it. I work at a corporate call center for an MLM. Don't sign up for any of those companies. Thanks for the first silver, fellow R&Timmer, I presume. If you pay attention to your kids they'll do better. The fucked up shit you're doing, it is affecting them even if you don't realize it. Their teacher knows this. I listen intently to every story my stepkid tells me and ask questions. I make sure he knows I am interested. For the love of fuck, his video game stories are torture to me, but they are important to him now and I want him to always want to share the important stuff with me. I work in the radio industry. Well, study to work in radio. You know those request shows? Yeah, those aren't real. They pick 1-2 requests per hour and then just fill the rest in themselves. None of the War of the Roses or any other BS like that is real either. They're all paid actors. Since Janet Jackson's Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction, the FCC cracked down hard on radio TV. No radio show can call someone and put them on the air without their permission. Period. I work in health. Vaccinate yourself and children. Body positivity movement and thin privilege is ruining my back because myself and my workmates need to manually move you around on a stretcher. Eat healthy, go to the gym, you'll live longer, feel better. Edit. Thanks fellow redditors for the gold. Don't play games with microtransactions. They are designed with the assistance of physiologists and psychologists to be as addicting as possible. Quality of gameplay is secondary to that. The new trend in game design internally in some companies has been coined dopamine-driven development, in that the entire point of the user experience is to trigger the most micro releases of dopamine to physically addict you to our game or app. I'm about ready to move off the grid. The world is fucked. Just exercise, people. There is not a single medicine, cool clothing item, quick fix, whatever, that will give you a healthier and better life than exercise, except for circumstances where you need a medicine to live. Even 20 minutes of walking a day can have profound effects on your health. It's not hard, just exercise. People are usually nice to you if you are nice to them. If they are rude, I'm extra nice, smiling and polite. It really makes them crazy annoyed. Seeing them boil really makes me happy. But also, if random person is rude to me, I don't take it personally. The person doesn't know me and probably has had a bad day, weak life, and is only taking it on me. But also sometimes when I'm smiling, nice and polite, it makes the other person start smiling and have a better mood. That makes me happy too. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for the platinum. I didn't expect it at all. Those results at the top are ads, and the results below the ads are still actively manipulated by people with money. Life insurance applications are starting to use accelerated underwriting, which means they obtain your credit history, pharmacy records, education level, and other personal information to see if you qualify for the life insurance. Life insurance companies are starting to also use a network which link the findings, so if you get denied by one company and try to get insurance with another, the second company can obtain certain assessment results from the first company. This sounds like a gross violation of HIPAA. I'm not a teacher anymore, but I learned a lot from it. I wish every parent knew that as your child grows up, you need to be their parent, not their friend. They need to experience failures and consequences. They need to be held accountable by you for their actions. You can be friends with them when they are grown, well-adjusted, responsible adults. I work in auto body collision repair. I am here to tell you that the size of a vehicle is only one piece of the puzzle in determining safety. Obviously, if you get hit by a semi, you are screwed no matter what sized vehicle you are in. But I have seen a Honda Civic hatchback get creamed by a Suburban. Honda was stopped at a stop sign. Suburban rear-ended them going 60 mph, and the people in the hatchback walked out basically unharmed. This is only one example off the top of my head. Vehicles built after 0608 started implementing advanced materials to be used for points of impact rails, body pillars. These advanced materials, think high-grade hardened steel, are extremely durable and do what they are supposed to do in terms of protecting the passengers from immediate harm. Also, a misconception about larger vehicles being safer is people think big equals safe. But these larger vehicles are slower, less agile, and have a longer stopping distance. If you are an attentive driver, you can more easily evade bad situations in a smaller, more agile vehicle. That is, if you have a decent reaction time and don't drive distracted. Short stopping distance has been a lifesaver for me a few times in my lightweight, compact car. I have avoided multiple potential collisions with wildlife, dogs, surprise road blockages, and unruly drivers. And don't forget that the taller a vehicle is, the more likely it is to tip over. I just want to let you know you have options, and if you need a larger vehicle for space, I totally understand. But larger vehicles are not safer as a rule of thumb. What is under your house counts. Before buying a home, talk to the city about the sewers and water drainage. Very old systems are sometimes still in use, and if the sewers haven't been upgraded in 100 years, you could have a very unpleasant surprise just down the road. I write smut for a living, and when people find out about it, they're generally very keen to open up about their own sexual tastes. It's as though as soon as they realize they're probably not going to be judged for what they want, they're eager to talk about it with an actual human person. I constantly get asked how unusual certain fetishes are, and people always seem relieved when it turns out that what they think is a super shameful kink they have is actually pretty widespread, even if people keep it on the down low. In general, most people's kinks aren't all that weird. Occasionally they are really fucking weird. Even if it's really fucking weird, as long as no one's getting hurt it's probably okay, and there's probably someone out there who has it too. Check your furnace filter monthly. Check the cabin filter in your car yearly. Don't buy a house within 3 blocks of S-rail line, gas station or industrial facility. Chronic exposure to low levels of industrial airborne pollutants causes cancer. Your belly button needs to be part of your cleansing routine in the shower. I'm an RN and have recently begun work in the OR. Anytime we have a patient getting incisions on their abdomen, we prep the belly button separately from the rest of the skin. And what I have learned from this is that a shocking amount of people have filthy belly buttons. I'm not talking a bit of lint, I'm talking a mound of lint that takes 4 swabs to remove, rolls of dead skin so copious that I have to use gauze to get it out, actual stones, pebbles of hardened detritus that I have to use tweezers to pick out. And this isn't on crazy obese people with a massive self-care deficit either. A good chunk of people with nasty navels are young and normal weight with 2 functioning arms. Clean your belly button. It's why God gave you fingers. I work in health insurance in the US. Most people spend more time thinking about what they want for dinner than they do considering their options. If you are in a position where you actually get to choose your plan, actually take some time to consider those options. In most cases, lower premium means higher costs everywhere else. Think about how you use medical services. Do you keep on top of routine checkups and screenings? Do you take any medications on a regular basis or see any specialists? Pay attention to how much those services will cost, as well as whether or not they will be subject to a deductible. Try to estimate how many doctor visits you will have in a year and add that to the cost of the premium to see what you'll really be out. If your insurance denies something, don't just accept it as the final word. Read the denial letter. Are you being denied because they want you to try something else first? Talk to your doctor and ask if that service is a good option for your condition. If it is, great, you'll probably save some money going that route versus whatever the doc originally ordered, and if it doesn't work you're now in a better position to get whatever you originally asked for. If your doc doesn't think it would be good for you, then you have very good grounds for filing an appeal. Appeals are not difficult, and it is your right to file one. The denial letter will tell you where to send it. They may or may not have a form for you to use. It's better if your doctor will do it on your behalf, but you can do it too. The insurance company can request documentation from your doc. Just say I see that you want me to try this. Dr. Jones doesn't think I'm a good candidate for that because, insert reasoning here. Please request additional information from them if needed. The insurance company is obligated to have appeals reviewed by someone different than the first review. They may see something different or have a different interpretation of the policy than the first reviewer. In my experience, only about 5% of denials are ever appealed, but they are successful around 40-50% of the time. Also, if something is appealed and overturned enough times, the insurance company may change their policy as a result. I forgot to mention my best tip. If you feel like you are getting the runaround from your insurance company, or they are not paying something that seems like it should be covered, reach out to your state's insurance department. Inquiries that come from the office that regulates us and has the power to shut us down are taken very seriously and we are obligated to respond in a timely manner. Lots of people like to think that threatening to sue will scare us. Letters from lawyers are not handled any differently than letters from doctors, except that you create the added step of it going through our legal department. On top, inquiries from the ID get walked from department to department and we have to hope that all our ducks are in a row or we will be screwed. I used this knowledge to my benefit when I was in a car wreck many years ago. The other driver's insurance was giving me a lowball offer, trying to use cars that weren't as loaded as mine to determine the value. The lady was also being super rude to me. All I had to do was tell them I had spoken to the ID and quote the verbiage I was provided and her tune changed immediately and drastically. I suddenly had a much more reasonable offer on my car and her attitude changed from outright rudeness to only slightly snotty. Edited to add, Thank you for my first award, kind stranger. Don't smoke, and if you smoke, quit. Please. Control C to copy, Control V to paste, Control X to cut. Amazing how many people don't know this.